Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second day of our Kitchen Counter Speakers series.
You don't have to stay for the whole thing.
Thomas Fontes, owner of Accounting Services Unlimited, will discuss the financial strategies that help restaurants stay profitable, organized, and prepared for growth. He'll remark on financial blind spots that can eat away restaurant profits, how to successfully track food and beverage costs, vendor pricing, and knowing when to repair, replace, or lease equipment. On top of this, Thomas will also teach you how to evaluate labor costs, identify efficiencies, and use your financial reports to make better business decisions. Please welcome Thomas Fontes to the stage.
Keep going. All right. Good morning. It's not like there's no more noise in the background or anything. Actually, what's going on? I'd rather go over there, I think, than listen to this. So good morning. My name's Thomas Fontes. For those few of you in this crowd that don't know me, I own Accounting Services Unlimited. And even though I can talk about, things from that we all know, that we've all heard about from lawyers that have come up here to talk, or experts in the industry, I come to you from a point of view that I've owned restaurants. I have faced a lot of the things that a lot of you have faced. I've stared down the 13th of the month when I don't have enough money to make payroll, and I got 2 days to figure out how I'm gonna make payroll. I've had to figure out and help my clients figure out when it's the 20th of the month and they don't know whether to file or pay the sales taxes, or pay the sales taxes if they can, or try to make up that shortfall, and moments when you just don't know if you're gonna make it. You don't know if you're gonna make it to the next month. So I face those things, and I come from that. Unfortunately, now we're in better shape than us, but I'm trying to teach all of you and most of my clients how to learn from those mistakes, because we've all made them and fallen into those traps, and how to make it better going forward. So, to get started, Haley's been dying to do this. And this is Haley, by the way, my trusty sidekick, who's been dying to do this one thing from our radio ad.
Let's go. I gotta put it up here. Ready?
Okay. Why? Yeah, that's me like 40 pounds ago in the wrong direction. So yes, that's the why from our radio ad that's been on WWL for the last 10, 12 years. So why are you here? Why? Why would you get into an industry that has high fixed expenses, rent, electricity, trash removal, gas, electric, water, hurricanes, water pressure advisories, hurricanes, oil spills, hurricanes, things that shut you down for time where you can't make that money back. Why would you get into this industry? Why would you get into an industry that has such passive employees? People that come and go, people that come in and tell you they're experts. They've worked in the industry their whole lives, and then they work for you 3 days and you never hear from them again until they come to pick up their 3 days of a check that they don't want in a check, they want it in cash. Please. And they need it now because they're moving to another state. So we've all seen those things, whether they're dishwashers, waiters, whatever. I always said that if I wrote a book, it would be all my restaurant clients. I would get them all to write a book on the life of dishwashers. Because they have, and anybody that's laughing that owns a restaurant, they go, yeah, that would be a good book. It would be a thick book, because they have great stories whenever they come and they go, and the fights and the drama that go on with them. So why would you get into this? Is it passion? Did you go to school for this? Is it something you've always wanted, either to cook or be in an industry where you just love it? You love staying up late. You love coming in early and making them a minimal profit. What other reasons? Is it the money? And all of you that own restaurants here know that it's all about the money. It's not. Or my favorite, which is why I'm in business, it's mostly for your ego. Right? It's mostly for you to feel good about yourself. You want to wander around your restaurant signing checks for freeloaders that you know that come and expect a free appetizer or drinks or a bottle of champagne. So why are you in this? So most of the people that are in this, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes you go into a partnership that goes in a certain direction. So why are you in the industry? So here's why we're here. All right, this is what I'm calling a shameless plug. We're with Accounting Services Unlimited, booth 517. You'll see several of these shameless plugs. Sorry, that's why I'm up here. So, shameless plug. Next one. Okay, why are we here? All right, so we run into a lot of clients that fall behind. They fall behind with their sales taxes. They fall behind with their payroll taxes. They fall behind with their income taxes. And one of the things I try to tell everybody is that when you come to ASU or you come speak to us, you're in a safe zone. I've never been to an accounting firm or a bookkeeping firm or a CPA firm where we have multiple boxes of Kleenex in our conference rooms. Why? Because people cry sometimes when they're telling us about how far behind they are. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but we had a client a week ago tell me, you know, I want to come see you. I had a little issue in my QuickBooks last month, and I want to fix it. Can you guys hear that too? I'm just making sure. I thought I was having a stroke. All right. So anyway, so I had this person that was in my office had a little problem with their QuickBooks. And, okay, good. So they had a little problem with their QuickBooks. And they finally came into the office, and I said, okay, well, what's the problem with the QuickBooks? She said, well, the problem with the QuickBooks is I haven't done my income taxes for 5 years. And so when we sat down, and she owns a restaurant, actually she owns 2 restaurants in separate parts of the city. And she sat down and she started to tear up, and it was rough, but she told me, it's like, I spend all my time working inside the restaurant, cooking, making sure the people coming in town, getting the schedules down, getting all those things. And I haven't had time to do my income taxes. I said, well, how are your sales taxes? She was only behind 3 months. Great. A lot of times, we're able to help, well, all the time, we're able to help people with those situations. The same with payroll taxes. All right, so what did we do for her? Well, the main thing is we went back, we did all 5 years of her QuickBooks. We did all her books going back 5 years. We caught up her sales taxes. We filed them, we didn't pay them. We got her into a payment plan with the state. We got her into a little payment plan with the parish. Kept her compliant moving forward. Spoke to one of the local IRS agents that we know, because this isn't our first rodeo. We've done this before. I could name them, but they might be here. Except for the ones for the state. They are actually here. So we work with the state as well. So we got them into the payment plans. We finished up the tax returns with the IRS, submitted everything, got her compliant, and we've kept her compliant. And we're going to continue keeping her compliant. You know what the best part of working with ASU is? We got it done in 2 weeks. It didn't take us 4 months. It didn't take us a million different, aspects or doing a bunch of different things that we were waiting for or anything. As soon as we get the information, we're able to knock those things out. So again, we're in a safe spot. And then we make sure that you know what not to do moving forward. Number one, of course, is hiring us, shameless plug. But the other thing is you want to make sure in some cases that if you do have sales tax, in some cases, if you don't have the discipline to not spend the money, open up a separate account. Throw 10% of your sales in there, even if it's daily. Make sure that you move 10% of your sales over there because you can't be trusted. And remember, sales tax isn't your money. I have a CPA friend of mine and other people in the industry sitting in the crowd right now. And when I say sales taxes is not your money, they nod their heads and they go, God, if the clients just remembered that sales taxes are not their money. So after we get all that done, we keep track of it moving forward. A lot of times we remove the client from the equation. We go directly to the banks and the credit cards and we download the statements ourselves. We make sure that if there are any cash receipts or anything else, we make sure that all that stuff is collected by us. We don't go through the client. The client's busy. She's already fallen behind 5 years. We already know that part. And then we just keep them compliant moving forward. One of the most important parts, that the last thing that was on there, move back one, just because I didn't say the last one, Attica. You aren't alone. I wouldn't be up here with that booth and everything else if you're the only client I've ever seen in almost 20 years of doing this. I started Accounting Services Unlimited in November of 2006. And yeah, we've seen a lot of these things. It's why we know all the agents. So you're not alone. That's why the boxes of Kleenex are on the conference table. All right, now we can move. All right, these are the basics, right? When you look at the basic restaurant stuff. After I just got through what I just talked about, which for some of us might create a little PTSD, does anybody have any questions as far as that part of the process that we talked about? And they told me that if I asked if anybody has any questions, nobody would ask any questions. So it's kind of why I did it. But anyway, all right. All right, good. Because when I do these little presentations, they're not lectures. They are discussions. If I say something wrong, wait till after the end. If I say something you really agree with, by all means interrupt me in the middle of this thing. As you can see, this isn't a very formal presentation. All right, so we're gonna look at some of the basic stuff. I'm not gonna break this down forever. This isn't that kind of presentation. I saw the pie charts yesterday. That was rough for those of you that were here for the pie chart presentations. That was a lot. All right, so your food cost, basic, 25 to 30%. Yes, you need to break down your food costs. Yes, you need to know what things are costing you. Duh. Most of you know this. Splitting vendors based on your products. This is important. Make sure that you know how much you're spending with who. You want to be able to call that vendor up. If it's somebody that sells you vegetables off a farm, or meat, pork, if you're doing farm to table, you want to know, because if you spent $10,000 a month last year in February with them, and this year you go, hey, I'm spending 20 now, how about coming down a buck or two on the pound of pork or on the pound of carrots that I'm buying? So you want to make sure that you know what you're breaking down per vendor. And don't be afraid to ask, because just like anything else, things aren't getting cheaper. Who's seen food costs getting cheaper? Wow, no hands. I'm shocked. Now, I'm not getting political or anything, but we all know. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, keep track of that stuff. And managing waste. I've seen, of course, manage your waste. There, I said it. Don't let people throw away your food. Don't let your employees throw away your food, and don't let wait staff throw away your food. Don't let your people in the kitchen. But the thing that I talk about when it comes to these three things, when it's food costs, payroll, and you see those percentages, if they go below 25%, and you start seeing food costs around 19, 18%, and you're thinking, wow, we're really getting good at this. It could be, wow, all your clients aren't coming back anymore because you're not giving them any food. And they notice it, and they know they're overpaying for it. So keep an eye on that. It's the same thing with payroll. Keep an eye on that. You may think, oh, wow, no, I got my payroll down to 15%. Yeah, that guy's been waiting for his bacon and eggs for 45 minutes. That's why your payroll's so low. So you want to make sure that you keep those percentages, because believe it or not, they're healthy. You don't want to lose clients because of it. And then, of course, my dad was a bookkeeper. I'm second generation. This is not his company, trust me, he fired me right away. My dad used to say that, it's 25% food cost, or 30% food cost. He'd say 30% payroll, 20% expenses, and you get to fight with the IRS over the other 15%. I think it still holds true. And we're the people that help you with the fight. So yeah, the other thing it's important to have a good bookkeeper is your equipment. For those of you that have ever bought new equipment, you know how ridiculously priced it is. But you know what's more ridiculous? Fixing the old equipment to the point to where you're spending more on fixing it than getting something new. So we track that for you. We make sure. And one of the secrets, and you're gonna find out here, and it kind of sucks, I have some competitors in the crowd, and because they're gonna use this, don't be afraid to sell your old beat up equipment to one of your competitors. It's always a good strategy. Let them deal with your old headache. All right, what's next? All right. This is kind of a shameless plug, but it's not why you think it is. I'm not a CPA. They work with me. They work for me on my staff. And you know why it's important? It's not because they're smart, and there's a joke there, and I'm going to leave it there because there's CPAs in the crowd. It's not because they're smart. It's because a lot of times when you're dealing with the IRS or the state, you need to be represented correctly, and it's not just correctly. The IRS won't talk to you unless you're an enrolled agent or a CPA. So if you have an accountant, a bookkeeper, or a tax person that says they're talking to the IRS, they're lying. I have seen thousands of dollars in penalties and interest be paid to the state and IRS because their person is talking to the IRS or the state on their behalf. That's not true. They're not. They can't. If they tell you, I sent them a letter, they can't. They can't. They'll get ignored. We saw a client who had a Department of Homeland Security, a Secret Service agent, and an IRS agent in our office because they had somebody who said they were a CPA working with them, and it wasn't true. And after all the years and letters, finally the agents were in our office. I mean, guns and badges, which is not something we're used to seeing. And after that was cleared up with the agents that they had hired ASU, we were representing them. We had our tax attorney there as well. All the agents with the badges and guns left except for the IRS agent, which allowed them to work through the process again. We don't always get that lucky. But make sure that whoever you're working with can speak to the authorities for real. All right. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Shameless plug? Did we mention we were at booth 517? All right, just making sure everybody got that. All right. Any questions on the stuff, on the nasty stuff with the IRS and the state and all that jazz? No? I knew it. All right. Here comes one of the fun parts. For those of you that know people that are starting a restaurant or trying to figure out what entity is the best, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. Sole proprietor. These are the major ones. There are other LLPs and other types of entities that you can be, but these are the ones that we see every day. Sole proprietor, dumb idea. You're holding yourself out there. By holding yourself out there, that means you're legally in trouble for anything that goes wrong. So forget it. Don't ever be a sole proprietor. A sole proprietor is some guy that just gets his pickup, a lawnmower, and has a dream and just wants to go cut grass. And the minute that a rock hits some kid on a bike in the eye, they're liable for that lawsuit. And there's nothing protecting them. So immediately the minute you're like, hey, I'm thinking about opening up a restaurant, you go start an LLC. You get a federal tax ID number, and you open up a checking account. That's step one. Before you go look for locations, you go open up the LLC and the federal tax ID number, and then you go look for locations. Because if you go buy a bottle of water while you're looking for the locations, I want to write it off, because that's where your company started. And no matter what you do after that, now you started a business. We're going to try to write it off, and we're aggressive. Very, very aggressive. Again, my accounting friends in the industry are like, very aggressive. So after you're on LLC and you start making money, not a lot, it's time when you hear about maybe what is this S-Corp thing I keep hearing about. Should I be an S-Corp? Shouldn't I be an S-Corp? So the number I like to throw out there is between $80,000 and $100,000 gross income a year. That's not perfect, but that's kind of where you want to look at it. If your restaurant's been open for a month and you did $15,000, you did $20,000 in the first month, go be an S corporation. It's a form you fill out, you sign it, you send it in, your LLC stays the same, the federal tax ID number stays the same, nothing changes there. You just have to do 2 tax returns instead of 1. An S Corp tax return called an 1120S, and your personal tax return, all right? And that's kind of where it falls into. Now the S corporation is great because it also adds an extra level of legal protection for you. So now you're an S corporation, great. Now you see up here, I have partnerships. You know why I put it in the middle? Because that's the worst idea. Most partnerships I've ever seen don't work out. Even Ben and Jerry's broke up at one time, right? So most partnerships don't work out. And they're also subject to self-employment tax, which we're going to talk in a few minutes. And if there's any way you can get operating agreements with your partner or your brother or your friend or whomever you're going to partner up with, think about it a lot. A lot of times it's better to have two LLCs than have one partnership, or two S corporations and have one partnership. So look at that hard, especially in the restaurant industry, right? Because usually when it comes to partnerships, there's the guy that puts up the money and there's the guy that does all the work. And the guy that does all the work always gets pissed off first. Right? Makes sense. So, not a big fan. Now, when we get into the S Corp, and if you're thinking about being a C Corp, that is great. Usually that is way bigger restaurants. You probably have multiple locations or one restaurant that makes millions of dollars, and it's a good idea to be a C Corp, and you can start selling shares and put a ton of money away for retirement. But, okay, there's maybe this many people that we know that might have those restaurants out of the hundreds of restaurants that we work with. So yeah, no, we're all going to be S corporations. That's kind of where we stay in our lane. That's the smart way to go. So we'll get to the S corp. Now why? Why an S corp? Okay, good. All right, so when you're an LLC, we're going to use this. And this is not exact. I'm looking at my CPA friends that are over there going, okay, that's not completely right. There's a lot of variables. This is kind of what it looks like. When you're an LLC, you do your tax return on a personal tax return. It's called the Schedule C. This is what it looks like, $100,000 gross net. That's after your food cost. So right off the bat, you're gonna pay 15.3% self-employment tax. So right off the bat, you owe 15. If you wanna know what self-employment tax is, it's Social Security and Medicare. When you're employed, they take out 7.65%. And then your employer has to match it. When you're self-employed, you get to pay both. Yay! No. So so right off the bat. So for the sake of this exercise, let's say you have 45,000 in payroll, 30,000 in expenses. So that's negative $75,000. You have a $25,000 profit. Yay! But you still owe income taxes. Boo. A quick $6,250 in income taxes if you're in, like, say, a 25% tax bracket, ballpark. So you end up paying a $22,800 in total tax. But we can all say that together where that sucks. But when you're an S corporation, all we have to do is put you on payroll. I call it a symbolic payroll. The IRS calls it reasonable compensation. Did I say that right, James? Yeah, okay. If you're wondering who I'm thinking about talking to. Reasonable compensation. You don't have to pay self-employment tax when you're an S corporation, but the owner does have to be on payroll. I don't care if you collect the $24,000 a year in payroll, and don't get me wrong, you can still spend out of your corporation. I get that all the time. Can I still take money out of my, yes, you can still take money out of the company. But I care that you pay the payroll taxes on there. Right? You pay the payroll taxes, $500 a month, yay. Same exact expenses, same exact payroll, same profit, right? Wrong. There's an employee as an S corporation that wasn't in the other company. So now, that's you. That $24,000, that's you. You're a write-off to your own corporation. So you have a $1,000 profit now, which you still owe 25% income tax. Yay. That's only $250 plus the $6,200, but plus the $6,000 you paid throughout the year in payroll taxes. So that's the difference between being an S corp and being an LLC. Now, if you notice over here where it says $22,800, it's missing a dollar sign. That's Haley's fault. She didn't put the dollar sign in there.
I'm sorry.
All right. That's Haley. That wasn't me. So anyway, but look at the big difference. That's why we do S corporations. We probably create between 6 to 8 S corporations a month easily, and we track them with the IRS, and we make sure that they followed through and that you have that assignation by the end of the year. This is a big one. Usually people stand up and cheer. I'm a little disappointed. Oh wait, they are, there you go, thank you. Actually, they are standing up and cheering. They're just over there somewhere, I think. So yeah, all right. I know, this is getting old. These are getting old, I know. Another shameless plug. Booth 517, we have tequila. All right. Any questions about the S Corp LLC? I think we got a microphone somewhere if somebody wants to steal my thunder. No? No. All right. So next up, these are kind of one of the basic things that works for all businesses. Yeah, I've been trying to do this since I got up here. In a few minutes, this is where we're going to cook the books. I've been dying to do that joke since I've been up here. All right, fine. We're going to talk about the boring stuff. All right, so, right? You spelled restaurant wrong, right?
Did I? Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I thought I spell checked them all, guys. I'm so sorry.
So this is the last time you will be seeing Haley ever.
Yeah. Just so we're clear, the only reason he had me sit right here is so he could point me out when there was a mistake on the presentation and say it's her fault. So,
It is her fault.
Yeah.
I know how to spell restaurant. I don't know, obviously.
Yeah. Anybody here's a Canva user, you know you don't get the squiggly under the
You don't need to come up with
misspelled
excuses
words.
now. Now you're coming up with excuses?
I just feel like I have to defend myself.
All right. So in all companies, when you work with Accounting Services Unlimited, when you work with ASU, I try to get some of the basics down for you. Because I know what it's like to get frustrated when you're starting a business. I know what it's like when you feel like you're doing everything for everyone. And that payroll that we struggle to make comes around and you're like, but I had to finish that for her. Or I had to go do that. And you get the frustrations down. I get it. So when you start your own company, these are kind of the basics where you have to try to manage your time. As you're starting, you're a one-man show, you're by yourself, you do everything. But as you start to grow, you start hiring people. So I'm gonna explain these divisions real quick, and if you notice, this is not a mistake. That is a 7 that we're starting with, and it does end with the 6, because none of these divisions are more important than the rest. They all flow, all right? So the first one, of course, is executive. That's ownership. Executive branch does not have a lot to do. Doesn't have a lot to do. They make the big decisions, right? They're going to decide whether they open up another location. They're going to decide whether or not they close a location. They're going to decide whether or not they want to expand what they have now, things like that, right? So they don't have a lot of work. Now, management runs the day-to-day. They're the ones that do the scheduling for your staff. They're the ones that will pick up the phone and call that purveyor and tell them, hey, you guys didn't send me all the tomatoes that I bought, yet here's my invoice saying you shipped me all the tomatoes. And you want them, they're the ones that they're gonna, when the employees start fighting, that's gonna be the referee. Admin, these are the people that pay the bills. These are the people that hire and fire people. These are your administrators. These are the people that, in some cases, if you have people that you give credit to, that you need to be chased down for money, those are the people that do that job. And then there's us, the finance department, the accountants, the bookkeepers, the tax people, right? We work hand in hand with your bankers where we help you get those lines of credit, those loans. That's one of the things Accounting Services Unlimited is very good about. We're very good about working with bankers to get that stuff, to buy the building that you're in, things like that. So you need to make sure that you pay attention to that division. Production. Now, this is your kitchen, this is your wait staff. These are the people that are doing all the things that they do. These are the people that are creating what you're selling, right? Production. The fifth one And this is very important for a lot of restaurants because they lose this step the most. Quality control. Make sure the first plate that came out on Monday for that one order is exactly the same as it is at 10 p.m. on Friday or Saturday. You make sure everything's uniform. You have to have somebody that deals with quality control. Make sure that everything is in the best shape possible, always. If there is some parsley that needed to be sprinkled on those eggs Benedict, oh God damn if they're not supposed to be on every single plate. That parsley is going to be on all of them. You need quality control. And then my favorite, which is PR. This is why I'm up here, because I like doing the PR for my company. So yeah, I like doing the marketing. I like doing the sales part. I like talking to business owners, see where the problems are, see where the pain is, and find out how we're going to help them, right? So when you own a restaurant, why am I showing you this? The goal is so you pick one of these to focus on all the time. Pick the one you like the most. If you're a chef, don't do the PR, right? If you're an administrator by trade, don't pick out the chef. Don't pick out the quality control. Hire people where there are those strengths, right? I like doing the marketing stuff, obviously. You can't shut me up. Well, apparently those people in the back can shut me up pretty good. They're louder. But those are the things that we look at, that you want to be where you want to be. I see too many miserable people. You know who are the most miserable restaurant owners that I see? Lawyers. You find lawyers that want to invest, and they open up a restaurant because they're the ones that want to be signing off the checks because they hate being lawyers. Sorry, no offense, Joe, that's true. Yeah. And so lawyers are the ones that usually just want to be in the management aspect of a restaurant because they don't like being lawyers as much. So you'll see that. But yeah, pick out what part of this you really want to be involved in. How much time do I have? Oh, plenty of time. All right. Yep. How do we do this? It's kind of cool to have some of my staff here because they do all of this with us. They help with the strategy from the get-go. What are your needs as a restaurant? Where's your pain point? Is it keeping up? Is it making sure? Are you paying for a lot of things in cash? Do you need help keeping up with those invoices? Are you having a hard time breaking them down? Make sure the strategy that we put in place for you in working with the paperwork works. I mentioned it before. We go directly to your banks. We go directly to your credit cards. We download all that information. We keep it. We code it into QuickBooks, whether it's desktop or online. We send you the reports. If you want them weekly, you get them weekly. If you want them monthly, you get them monthly. In some cases, my favorite cases, the best restaurants we work with, some of the most famous restaurants in the city, we update their QuickBooks daily. We go in, we code it, and make sure that as the check's clear or as the invoice is sent to us from the vendor, it immediately goes into your QuickBooks file, and you'll be able to see a report in real time. Now, is that the cheapest way? No, but that's how we do it. That's the best way to run the restaurant. And at the same time, we're tracking your sales taxes to make sure that that money should be in the bank, that you're good, that you should have that cash. Same with payroll. Hey, the 15th and the 30th is coming up. And make sure you've got the money for the payroll and make sure you have the money for the payroll taxes, right? So you make sure that you track those things. And then the other thing is, we keep you compliant. We make sure that those sales taxes are done on time. And guess what? If that ice machine crapped out for the 100th time and you had to buy a new one and you had to use the money from sales tax, we'll call the state or we'll call the parish for you and tell them, here are the forms, we're behind, we're gonna pay a little bit of money in penalties, cut us a break, don't send us letters, and please don't come visit us at the restaurant, please. Hi, Julie, that's my youngest daughter. Great. Anyway. So, yeah, so we make sure we keep you compliant. Wait, I didn't finish the last one.
Sorry, I thought you pointed.
No, that was pointed at you. Communication. You know what's the best way for accountants and CPAs to lose a client? Number one way. Don't call them back. Don't respond to the email. I love it when somebody says, yeah, I sent an email to my CPA 4 weeks ago. He didn't respond. I sent him another one 2 weeks ago. He didn't answer my question, but he sent me an invoice for 1 hour for having to read my first email that he didn't respond to. That's the best way. So no, we're extremely communicative. If you go to our booth, does everybody know what number our booth is? Okay, no? 517. For the first time in 14, 15 years that we've been here, I have Kristen Carney here, who's the best accountant, one of the best accountants that we have working for us. And I managed to get her at the booth, and you'll see why. I get more complaints about Kristen being too on top of her emails, because if you send her an email, she responds to you in minutes, not hours, because she's on top of it. She's great. And so we actually have somebody we can go talk to, because that's what they live for. Bringing her here is about one of the most awkward things in the world, because she's not working. She loves to work even on a Sunday at 11 a.m. She'd be working. Now, okay. All right, so to do a quick recap. Why we're here, I don't know why you opened up a restaurant. Again, really? Boiled water advisories? If that doesn't do it for you. Organization, we've talked about. What's the best fit for you? What's the best organization you can, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to open up 10 restaurants? Or are you trying just to try to get one open, right? The fundamentals. If you don't go into the restaurant business knowing those basic facts that we showed you a few minutes ago, then don't call us. No, just kidding. Then we'll show you. We'll do it. The execution, first step is coming into that safe zone. First step is coming into that safe zone and telling us what the problem is, whether you're getting started or whether you've already tripped over a bunch of things and you're dealing with it moving forward. And how to get set up. So we've been through it all. Now, is that it? Now we just questions, right? Oh yeah, I forgot, one last shameless plug. Booth 517. Oh yeah, that's right, we've got backpacks. Well, we don't have that many backpacks, so not everybody at once. Yeah, so that's that. So the last thing, I'm gonna take a couple of questions only because we have a couple minutes. What's that, Todd? Do you have a question? Go ahead, Todd's right up here.
You talk.
Woo!
Just for me. Just for
Yeah,
me.
just for you, and Todd.
Can you talk a little bit about you had mentioned something earlier about the SBA and the importance of having somebody like your company already in place when you decide to buy that restaurant? Can you talk a little bit about the importance of the financials?
Sure. So in case you don't know, Todd's one of the best bankers in the city. He's with First Horizon. Does a great job when we work with them. If there's any bankers out there that are looking to buy the building they're in or something. So the SBA or working with banks, because you don't always have to go through an SBA, you have to make sure you have the last couple of years' financial statements done. You have to make sure they look right. You have to make sure the taxes are done. You have to make sure your balance sheet looks right. I didn't use the word balance sheet a lot during the presentation because I promised I wouldn't get too technical. I saw pie charts up here yesterday that I said. And so, you know, we're used to it. We're used to dealing with the banks. We're used to talking to them. They'll tell us, hey, the balance sheet, lower, that depreciation seems a little low. Is there any more we can put in there? Are you sure that all those have to be written off through the P&L? We work with them to get it to fit. Now, can I make the SBA faster? I could lie and say yes, but we can't make the SBA faster. But we can make sure that none of the holdups are because of you or your team. We make it smoother on that aspect. The SBA is still going to do it's still going to be the SBA. But if you work directly with most banks, we work with your bankers. We work it whether you're not using the SBA, whether you're using the SBA or not. We can still work with your bankers to get those loans, to buy those buildings, to do all those things. So yeah, and like I said, we're used to it. And in some cases, if you don't have a relationship with a good banker, Todd's here, we have relationships with a lot of the other banks. And we have relationships with the bankers. And there's a lot of back and forth between my team and the banks that sometimes the clients don't even see until they get the stamp of approval and they're good to go. And they're moving into the building or they're doing what they're doing. Another question for, oh, pretty lady in red. By all means, stand up if you're going to speak.
All right. Do you work with the Hispanic community?
Wow. Every night. No, I'm just kidding. That's my wife, for those of you that don't know. That's my wife. Sí, hablamos español. Tenemos gente en la oficina que habla español. Estamos acostumbrados a doblar tortillas. Yes, we work with the Hispanic community. We work with a lot of Hispanic restaurants. One of my favorite ones is sitting right in front of us with Latia on West Esplanade, who's very in Agua Santa on Oak Street. If you guys haven't gone to eat, we're very, very familiar with the Hispanic community. We're members of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We work with El Centro to help the Hispanic community with financial literacy and all those things. And of course, we have Spanish-speaking people on the staff, and we help them out, and we help the Hispanic community as much as we can, because of course, not being Hispanic and being married to one helps. The other thing we haven't mentioned that I have to shamelessly plug is actually the person who just spoke. Next to my booth, there's a little-known booth called One Stop Permits. If you know somebody that's looking to open up a restaurant and is stuck with a liquor license, resale certificate, occupational license, construction permits, all that stuff, she knows people in every parish at very low levels, which are the people that actually do the work. And she gets things done correctly, which is why they like her, and her staff. Because believe it or not, hopefully next time she'll do this presentation, and I'll be semi-retired, drunk somewhere at probably one of the distilleries. All right, any other questions from anybody? I'm going to wrap this up. I did make the cook in your books joke already, though, didn't I?
Yep.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right, thanks, Haley. Well, number one, can everybody clap for Haley having to put up with me? Thanks. And I thank all of you for being here. Enjoy the rest of the show. I pay them, but yeah.